Hello, I'm Chris Evans. I'm a KMP developer. I'm a little bit stuffed up today. Oh yeah, tech support says they're coming to fix that thing, close it up. We'll see when that happens. We don't know yet. I'm going to be responding to some viewer comments today about like my mostly my adventure-driven development series. Um, and here's some different comments I've gotten. It's just I'm not really great at typey. I think you get more from the talky. So I'm just gonna just say what I think about this. Software complexity is wide open for disruption. Okay, you shouldn't have 15 to 20 people. So Logan Media 1142 says you shouldn't have 15 to 20 people in a meeting like that. Your software team should be 5 to 6 programmers. I agree. No, in adventure-driven development, it's maximum of 7. Because it just gets. Where do I have the chart? Where's the chart? Yeah, it just gets into this situation here where the complexity of just talking to everybody becomes overwhelms the tasks. So, and I'm kind of in the camp of like it's one guy should really be doing this whole thing. Like should be doing the whole thing. And if there's any boundary, it has to have a specified API that the guy that's doing the primary thing kind of has to set it up. So from there you can go on and add people to these subtasks maybe, but how the overall system works and how it's put together, it has to be kind of done by one person. Now other people can comment on it, but it really has to be the vision of one guy, and it's now doable with KMP, the Maven. So with KMP you can do the one language, the front end, the back end. And the back end includes microservices or whatever else, and the database stuff, all the stuff you ever want to do, running on the JVM. So solid architecture. It's just not. It's. If you're Java, Kotlin is just Kotlin is Java plus. I guess it's like an enhanced. It's just a really refined. They've taken decisions and everything's in there that you need, but not everything that you want. How's that? There's going to be a way to do it. There's probably a little Kotlin way to do it, and you should really do it that way. So that gives you one set of libraries. So with KMP, you get one set of libraries that lets you do the front end and the back end. So the front end includes the web, because iOS, Android, the desktop, and whatever else comes along. Linux, and the desktop isn't just the desktop. It's like it's either Mac OS or Linux or Windows or whatever comes along, it'll run on it. So that's the whole idea, is like we can forget about this upgrade train and translator transpilers and running on a JavaScript layer between. No, this runs native in Kotlin on all these platforms, so you don't have to go mess around with a bunch of other stuff. So, okay, it does not take. Okay, so it's like you might have a couple other people from outside explain the problem. Yeah, exactly. The customer who you're going to be showing to, and the guy that's usually throwing money maybe have some insights, or brought together some people that got some insights and found the people that have the insights and enough to be unreasonable advantage. That's the word. Unreasonable competitive advantage, and that's usually the actual customer. Exactly right. This is what he's talking about here. By the time that meeting happens, someone in management would already have made the decision that this work is high priority. Yes, someone's paying for this. Yeah, somebody has to pay for it. Now, whether it's the people on the development team who are putting in their own time and effort, someone's paying for it. When Woz was thinking about how to do color on the Apple II, there was no investor. There was nobody telling him that. But he knew that color was important, right? Because he'd seen people like, oh, my God, color. And he was like, how do I do color? Color seems pretty crucial to what people want. Steve Jobs seems to identify what people want. So maybe I should listen to what he has to say. So he saw it, and it took him a year to put it all together. And his breakthrough was making the bus at the same frequency as the color signal. Genius. But it takes someone who has all the full vision of how all that put together for someone to come up with that with a minimal chipset that wasn't $100,000. Instead it was like $200. There was one chip. It was like, hey, we're just using it. He was did. The way he set it up, if you go look into it, it's freaking genius. Anyway, it does not take that long to add a feature. Well, it depends on what the feature is, right? And what do you consider a feature, right? AI is a feature. How long did that put together? 20 years, until it got somewhere where we could maybe use it for lots of different things. So what's a feature? It really depends which may be a feature, right? But I understand what he's talking about. We get to figure out a solution, write the code, whatever feels sufficient, test to cover the code, then we have the code reviewed. I like the pair programming thing. It's like, hey, come over, let me talk you through it and see if I did anything wrong. Instead of this PR stuff, This whole PR stuff, I'm sorry, it may be efficient for something, but it doesn't like really convey information that humans need to run these, to make the stuff that you want, that people want. I don't know. It's just like the PR thing and everyone going back and forth on the PR. Oh, come on. Have a meeting, talk about it. And if you can't talk to your co-week team, oh man, what are we doing? What are we doing, right? What are we doing here? Definitely not adventure driven. Okay, and I know there's times when you got to do it. I know there's times you have to go back and do that stuff. But man, if you're sensitive to the adventure, and you really get pissed off at some of this stuff, and you destroy your creative types, like, can't just be pissed off about it, right? That's destroyer types. Like, I want that's the end. Well, what do you got in its place that's better? Do you have anything better? No. Well, then shut up. Until you get together with a creator or become a creative type, you have to deal with the preservers who are going to make you tick boxes. That's just how it goes. Okay, so once we have the code reviewed, address any serious concerns, merge in any line. That's the continuous delivery, right? Now, merge in the main line means actually shipping it out to the customers, not we're going to do the QA cycle. ADD doesn't really have QA cycle. It's like, let's get it out in people's hands. That will be the QA cycle. Then we deploy the staging environment. I mean, at some point, yes, after you have product market fit, you can start playing around with this kind of stuff. But until then, you have your local environment. Hopefully you can simulate all this stuff. So that should be a thing. And if you don't, it's like, why are you building such a crazy, complicated thing in the beginning before you have product market fit? But yeah, after you have product market fit, yes, putting a staging environment, I can see there's value for that. And where a QA, if you do want somebody to go manually through the thing just to do an idiot check, which I guess really should be automating all that stuff at some point, and that's what we're training those people who are doing the manual test to write the test. They're smart enough. I guarantee you, they're smart enough to write the test, to do the check. And once you show them how to do it, they can then do all the stuff. That's what they should be doing. That's good. That's a good use of their time, because if it's not the developer, it's having somebody else that's a user of it to test it. Will expose stuff that the developer wouldn't necessarily see. So that happens all the time. I get that. We deploy a staging environment where checkout finally goes straight production via production uploading a live system that's not allowed to go down. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's it. That's how we do adventure driven. Let's go. Let's put it in there. Let's find out soon. Test in production. Real devs test in the production, and we should be able to wait to test in production. We should be able to deploy our tests with the current production thing or the next version of the thing actually being running as if it was running in the whole thing. That's super important because it's about to, right? That's what we're testing for, to make sure it actually runs. So the closest we can get to production, the better, because that's really realistically what we're doing. I don't know why people are so scared of that. It's been a problem. Every place I've been, we just do this whole that they make the developers go through the manual testing cycle. It's like, no, that is really bad use of our time. And I get why people want to do it, like to go the manual. But I was like, hey, why don't we as developers write the tests, or we can get the QA person, we can train them up. It's like, oh wow, that's not their job. It's like, okay, whatever, man. If during the review someone suggests a change that required us to completely rewrite the code, then we give it a really good reason. Yeah, okay. The whole point of being agile is you're meant to tweak the process itself to make it work for you. Exactly, but in 4 sentences, that was never really talked about that much. So, they heard about this agile thing, and they want to go do the agile certification, because that's the one they saw at the conference, who was speaking on the slides and the graphs going up and to the right. And there's nowhere the point that the cadence is, we use a Scrum cadence, blah, blah, blah. It's like, never do they say, hey, you have, in the very beginning, this is just a suggestion, but they don't go at the end and say, hey, or along the way. It's like, you're supposed to, these are points of discussion with your developer team, and most of it's probably thrown out. And the fact that you're coming to a conference and your certification, you're kind of missing the point completely. There's always some clown who thinks they know better. Well, exactly. I'm probably that clown. They think they don't make mistakes. Oh, I definitely make mistakes. But if I'm the only developer working on the thing, or I'm only one of 2, and the other guy's doing some other edge thing, and I'm doing a core thing, like a back end, front end thing, I can see how that would work out. But there's 2 people, with one has the main vision, and we're just kind of filling it out, and the UI thing, how it's supposed to look, and to the end user, but there's some core thing. Yes, we can do it that way. But making mistakes is what software is all about. This is all the whole thing it does. It's just complete error conditions. Unhappy path is all of our engineering. Happy path is super easy. It's just straight line through. But all the things that can go wrong between all the air conditions and making sure we can restart it and back up all that stuff, that's fucking takes forever. They don't test and they don't put their code in production. Yes, we have to, that's why I say test in production. Somehow, if you're designing a system from scratch, make it so it's testable in production. Somehow, some way, not have this other staging environment actually in production, right? So we can swap the thing out live, do a feature flag behind it, and then start testing it while the thing's in production. So while we're doing it, when we deploy it, we know it's already been doing the thing where there's no mysteries. Oh my God, why is it not in production? Why could we? Oh, that's so scary. It's like, yeah, but we're going to find out soon enough, aren't we? When do we want to know sooner than later? I mean, we have a strategy for backing back us out of it. Or don't do it, or use a feature flag so we don't even turn it on until we're ready to go. For most users, it won't even see it, even though it's sitting there running right beside it. It's like, come on now. These things are not difficult. But it takes, you have to be willing to do behold some more risk and like let go of old things that we heard at a conference or read in a book that no longer serve us. Okay, I'll go faster. All right, so it's hard for me to typey all this stuff that I want to say about this stuff because it's always this nuanced thing. Really, it's always this nuanced crap, and everyone's like, they hear one thing and people say that's the way to do it. It's like there's no nuance, but you got to have some nuance in there because every situation is different, right? Okay, they're tested, put the code in place. The system goes down, the customer starts saying, exactly. Don't we want to see it go down in production for our thing before and all the air conditions before our customers have to start calling us at 2 a.m.? I mean, this is a better way of working. I know people are like, oh, I'm on just pre-paper duty, and I got to get up at 2 a.m. to do this, answer this email from our super hardcore customer. It's like, yeah, well, don't deploy on Friday. Don't make a breaking change on Friday, or don't deploy a change on Friday. Always deploy on Monday. Or you're going to have ruined weekends for the rest of your life. I know it's just like, oh, I'm almost done. I'm pretty sure everything. We just go, let's just deploy it. It's like, well, there goes your weekend, right? I'm on Friday. I understand the need for it. Okay. All right. Brilliant comments on Agile. Thank you. That's how to survive on a scrap without losing your mind. Okay. New idea. Okay. Here it is. War against new thinking. Careful new ideas. New ideas can be cool or they can lead to pain. There's some place for an understander. You allude to this being part of the creator. Yeah, it's the creator. So yes. So he's talking about how these gods all represent each other. Yes, he's the understander creator, but you have to convince him. So he's the preserver understander. And this guy's the understander what the problem is, right? I understand and see the goddamn problem. I know what to get rid of. Usually it's just one thing that he wants to get rid of, or it could be a class of things. But he's the one that comes in, and this is like the Woz. So this is like Jobs. And this is the Woz half. He's like, I could do it like this, I could do it like this, I could do it like this, I could do it like this. Or if you just let me sit back and take it all in, I could probably do it a whole new way that everyone's ever been seen before. It's like, and this is this guy, right? And sometimes they're the same person, sometimes they're different people, but usually there's a personality types, right? It's like, this fucking sucks. The preserver's like, this is how we're done. This is our business industry standard, right? And it's like, no, this sucks. That sucks. And the creator, sometimes the same person, was like, oh, there's something better we could do, or just not at all. And we never needed that in the beginning. We never needed that in the first. We searched far and wide and discovered we didn't need that anyway. All right. So however, often this is some destroyer throwing out half-baked ideas because they could talk. Exactly. These guys do talk a lot. And the ones that have the distortion field will disrupt a lot because there's reasons, right? It's like, it could be political, it could be social, it could be they got something, right? They could actually have something real, and that's that whole battle, right? Because if you do have something real, you're gonna have to deal with it. All truth passes through 3 stages. First is ridicule. Second is violently opposed. Third is acceptance, self-evident. All right. So when you're this type of person, you kind of get used to that and know that it's just the rules of the game. It's just how things have to be done. So some of the things are good. Even with this guy, he might have some hits. He might hit some out of the park, but it doesn't mean he's always going to be correct, right? It doesn't mean he's going to always be correct. All right, so exactly. This unchecked destroyer can be as irritating as swamp slug. Exactly. So there's a lot of these destroyer types, but without, like, he's got to actually bring something else up, man. You can't just like, you suck, or that's terrible. Oh yeah. So I wrote here exactly. Anyone promoting a great new idea should expect to confront a ton of pushback because yes, indeed, most new ideas are total garbage. I agree. Like just being on Android dev since 2012 and seeing all the half-day stuff they pushed into production as best practices were extremely cringeworthy at best. I'm sure that we can both point out many of these things from many areas of life. In fact, history is strewn with these many great ideas that were maybe a good fit for the time, and once something better was found, it was quickly abandoned. We quickly abandoned it. It's good to remember that these once world-stopping ideas were considered amazing, and also the fact that we all abandoned them as quickly as possible when something better came along. So then how amazing were they? How much marketing hype was that? How much was of that book-driven development at conferences and wanting to go get an expense account and getting on the podcast and promoting a new thing? It's like, how much of it was that stuff, right? And as soon as we were like, something better was like dumped, dropped, like a hot potato. Getting ideas through the filters is a worthy task for only Epic Quest. There's no guarantee of success. Yeah, so going through the filters of what this guy requires to get rid of a process that's already working and making money and driving, he's in production, he's doing stuff with it. You to convince him to get rid of that thing and to make the new thing, it's a big task. That's our customer. That's who we have to convince. These guys will listen. These guys are the early adopters. Like, oh, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. They're exploring the domain already. This guy's like, just give me the thing, man. Just refine it enough to meet all my requirements, and I'll buy the goddamn thing. And thank you very much. Take my money. So that's really what that's about. And this guy's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And there's 1,000 things in the market, but this guy's only going to want to buy one thing to solve that particular problem. That's what he really wants, right? And if you can somehow solve that, then for lots of people, then you've got something, right? That's what we're doing. Or you're just your audience, right? The audience of your people. That's who you're going after. The problem you're solving, right? Okay, the war against thinking. I like you, but I have 2 questions. Who are you to tell us what to do? Tsunamio 7750. What did you achieve? Honest to the bone. One warning the youth of its own failures is valid, and so is success sharing. And I had going along, I have lots of evidence from my experience. I don't recommend anybody take my experience or take advice from me. I'm not selling anything. Notice there's no courses or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to do a course. I don't think you can do a course on adventure-driven development. It's just a discussion point, some ideas to play around with. Maybe a pamphlet. I mean, but am I convincing you to do adventure-driven? No, this is a voluntary-only effort. I'm trying to describe what this feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like, the kinds of people you will find involved with it, and the kinds of ideas that they think about, and what they're trying to avoid. So that's why I'm just saying, hey, think about these things. So there's an alternative way, right? All the things you will hear about on all the channels and all these podcasts is usually this kind of stuff. Oh, we're going to do a startup and targeting with a social media, crypto, AI, blockchain. A tar pit of seemingly good ideas. It sounds good. You see the people success, they're doing it. So if you just copy their thing, right? If you copycat, become the lowest price leader, you're gonna get their success, right? I mean, maybe. I probably doubt it. Dungeon grind, Jira burn down slug. It's like waterfall, big design up front, lots of coordination, but it's like you have to go through this. People think this is what software development is. Like, no. Then if they get good enough, they'll go to a dev agency or consultancy, and they'll see all kinds of other people's problems. The problems that they've identified as being profitable to service coming in, and they'll do the technical part. Then you can eat very well with that. You can do super good. You'll have a nice silver spoon. But when you go after the cave opening, which is a problem that you uniquely can solve and see, that you want to address, that you can then go against the dragon, which is all the customer objections of all the things you got to do to please this guy, to please this man, this woman, whoever you're trying to go after here, to make them give them money to you as opposed to who they're giving it to right now. Yeah, so that's that. Oops, there we go. That going against this thing, so you can get the golden prize, which doesn't always mean money. It means like, wow, you really went after that, and you tried something that nobody else was even looking at the time, and you discovered a whole new thing for somebody and serve them well, and they become your pet dragon. Like, oh, they're not a big dragon anymore. They're a little pet dragon. And they listen to me, and they talk to me, and I pet it, and I make sure it's doing okay. Right? That's where the happiness is around here. So that's adventure driven. Now, you can't I'm not telling you that. I'm just telling you that when you feel this, if you're the kind of person that's feeling like you can, you want to go, you want to get involved with an adventure, and go on an epic quest filled with worthy tasks. It's volunteer only because of the risk involved. It's ridiculous levels of risk, right? There's a pretty good chance that you're not going to make it. You're not going to fail. You're definitely going to fail more than once, right? So that's why you have to have courage and creativity. And having both of those in the same package is really rare. It's very difficult to find. And when it does happen, it's very brief moments of time. Because as soon as you get some traction, this guy is going to come in and say, okay, we can optimize this process. You found a cave opening. Excellent. You've got a new dragon. So now we can come in and optimize this. And that's usually when adventurers are now asked to leave. And hopefully you get a nice exit. Okay, so, and then I also want to bring up here that if you want to look at the things I've done, this is my GitHub. And you can check out my YouTube channel. I've also cataloged that stuff on there. And these are all kinds of projects I've done and publicly available. Fred wrote tutorials there. There's a KMP project that shows you how to do Google Maps and Taskies, how to do all the different types of program, how to clean your architecture so your program's not so crazy and it's easy to manage and easy to extend. How to program from the ground up shows you how to do programming. It's 3,000 views. I got the adventure-driven series, got 2,000 views. KMP is the cloud cover app. I do a little tutorial about how to make a web app and an iOS, Android, and a web. And the web, I forgot to put the web on here, but I should do that at some point. I have this a users group of Compose. I was one of the early adopters of Compose. Love it. Think it's awesome, great. So I did a bunch of tips here. A translator app for using early versions of KMP. Another hyperlocal, just more Android applications. All kinds of different Android applications you can, and different types of applications. So you can see good examples of what I mean about how to put programs together and put software together, especially on the front end. I've got 314 Stack Overflow. But I try to answer some questions and stuff like that. I earned 631 stars and all these different things, which is not a slouch. I mean, I'm not dominating the industry, but I'm somebody. I got a Google Plays, I got a Google Apple Store Plays. I know how to publish and put apps in those things, which is a pain in the dick. Not that. Okay, and then we got my old stuff that I did when I was before 2012. I came back in 2012 did Android stuff. This is probably before 20. This is like about 2017. So this is like older stuff I've done from when I started programming computers when I was like 1976. So I've got a bunch of different things here I've done. These are some of the older applications I did for Android, and these are some other things I did with a startup. I did image processing, special effects software, and won a bunch of awards. There's like a bunch of people, bunch of these companies. I did not pay for any of this stuff. They picked me out of nowhere. The NAB, New Media Magazine, Mac User. These are old magazines that were super dominating the industry. Digital Media Awards and National Associated Broadcasters still a big, huge industry. And Editors Pick a Show. So I mean, this is just stuff I did with my tiny little company, about 7 people, and I did all the software. And so I got some more products here. There's a demo reel from DigiFX after I sold that company. They did a little demo reel. Here's Cinelook, After Effects plugins, a bunch of different types of plugins. You can see go check out the effects. These were not a thing at the time. I kind of started this whole industry, really. I was involved in the very early days of After Effects. And then some Photoshop plugins. And then I did some work for Chaos Tools called Paint Alchemy. Here's another one called Terrazzo, which is this tiling algorithm type stuff, Photoshop plugins. A 3D type tool for inside of Photoshop before that was even a thing. So I've been doing this stuff for a while. Let me see what else. There was another one I did. This Biospire. So I did this thing with this using these different types of microcontrollers to do these using Arduinos to do this whole light display stuff. But this is back in like 2014 when I was doing that. 2015. Did a bunch of games back in the day. In the 90s, I did this Foul Play port for this gaming company in the UK back in the 90s. I worked on Personal Press, one of the first ones that did this like wizard thing for doing desktop publishing, and would automatically create these forms that was totally new. Nobody had ever seen that before. Where you just type in the wizard form and it would automatically generate the stuff that was. I worked on the team that generated that. Got acquired by Aldus. They got acquired by Adobe. So I mean, I've been in this stuff for a while. Here's a video editing system I put together with a titling system that we control consumer decks for doing cut edits. I wrote a lunar lander for the Newton. This is my first game I published back in the 80s for, it was called Casino Craps game for the IBM PCX. You can see it's all sun damage because it's so old. Yeah, so I've been doing this stuff for a hot minute. Yeah, here's that. That's the stat. And then here's some of the manuals I've written. I wrote a bunch of manuals for all these things. This is what is it, Berserk filters, and then another one is for the Photoshop filters. So you can check out the manuals. Those are all linked there from my GitHub. So yeah, so I've been doing stuff for a minute, guys, and I went and check this guy's. Okay, so that's that. All right. Okay, so you keep talking up subject really, but not talking about as blah, blah, blah. But as an ADD dev, just never knew. Yeah, okay, so exactly. So ADD is I'm describing ADD. I'm not prescribing it, right? So it's like there's no checklist here. There's just some of the things I've noticed working in ADD types of environments. That we didn't call them that. It was just we need to get stuff done, and we're with people doing it, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't think you could do it. So do it. It was kind of that. And then we just whatever we needed at the time to get things finished and get things proper was what we did to keep it going, to make it happen. Okay. All right. So Agile release train diagram looks like a factorial map. I thought Agile was supposed to be logo process. Exactly. It reminds me of 45-minute stand-up meetings where you have to stand up so they're not. We're supposed to stand up. So I go into the stand-up stuff, and some of the things I have seen that work better than others about these meetings. So you have a during the session you have this weeds discussion. So you can do the two sides. Quick hero report where it's supposed to only be 5 minutes. Like what is 5 minutes max for the whole team because you're not supposed to have more than 7 people on the team. So it's like 1 or 2 2-minute chapters with the current state of the current task, whether it's going well or not. And then after that, you wait around and do the weeds. You can talk about all the actual details if it's important, and people that don't need to know can go off and do something else. And if there's if you need double weed discussions, then you do weeds back to back. What this is not a mystery, and then having people listen to people's dogs and what they did for the weekend and all that stuff is just ridiculous. And I'm surprised that people put up with it. But this is just in the ZIRP environment. This has been normalized. This 15-year period where money was free and they could fund all these silly ideas and all these silly processes were luxury processes in my mind. So, yeah, exactly. One of the roles was middle manager, scrum master. Exactly. Are you using Fibonacci numbers? Can you shave a few points off that ticket? It's gotta go. This stuff is ridiculous. So this guy sent me an email. I only need to look at the Gorm list. I had to look up Gorm list. I had to look that up. So what is Gorm list? Gorm list is lacking sense of foolish, constantly grinning, like must smile the agile code expert when he's talking about Scrum. To know what he's selling snake oil exactly is so bad. He was probably working out the pool store, with checking the clothing supplies before he started to become a Scrum Master because I heard you could take a weekend course. Week-long course to become a Scrum Master and tell developers what they got to do if they can shave a couple points off. Okay, so I'm loving series. Have to attend a big vendor conference next week, and the industry is going to be full of suits jabbering each other about AI and optimizing persistence. Okay. I hope you make it too, man. I hope you make it too. It sounds horrible. That sounds absolutely devastating. Okay, Scrum is a way for women with no engineering background to make engineering management money working as Scrum Masters. Fuck that. Exactly. Sounds about right. Good luck keeping those non-ZIRP economic environment. Yeah. My last client had 12 dev teams and 12 Scrum Masters full-time. Holy crap. When cuts had to be made, 9 of the 12 customers let go and a bunch of expensive contract devs as well. A large German HVAC company. Yeah. Yeah. Someone drank the conference driven development Kool-Aid. Glad to see the Scrum Masters go. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I used to use CI/CD and found it, and it always sucked. Yet another DSL to learn and debug. Exactly. Another system to take care of and maintain. This is for the CI/CD as a financial scam video. As another system to take care of, maintain, and in the end, CID ended up being a glorified task runner of scripts that we ran locally that was commit time manually triggered, and the CD was an indirect effective pull-based system that had one job: deploy whatever changes we would find in a repo. Tried all those miserable dinosaurs like Jenkins and never adopted them normally ever. But yeah, people love complexity because it makes them feel important and relevant. Exactly. It's a cargo call, and it makes them think they're going to be working at Google soon. They do CI/CD at Google, so if I do CI/CD at this company that has more servers than customers, that means I'm going to be going to Google soon. I'm like, oh my God, stop. Please, you don't want to work at Google anyway. You kid the 25-year ago Google, maybe even 20 years ago, it would be pretty cool. 15 even. I'm just starting to kind of they're starting to acquire companies. They're not really doing stuff inside that's actually working. They can't identify talent. All they can do is acquire it because they don't understand it. That the people who make the technologies, they make all this stuff, that amazing crap, the stuff that Google started on, are adventure driven. They're always adventure driven. Being normal is not necessarily a virtue. It rather depicts a lack of courage. So wanting to like copy these other people, it's like it's like there's this other thing that adventure driven developers have, which is like they gotta have something. Something else is going on. Okay, it's like kind of like being down in these environments, right? Okay, not this one. Down in these environments down here, pisses you off. Pisses some people off. God damn it! Why is this thing keep pisses you off? Being down here, and if you can survive it enough and still have the gumption, yeah, then you can be adventure driven. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, here it is. From General Stellaru. I work in a secondhand cargo cult environment. I call it that because companies here in Eastern Europe are doing mainly outsourcing and have adopted the rituals that they see in the West to make themselves more marketable. Oh, fuck. The last part of the projects I worked in is marred in cognitive dissonance. Senior devs, they all are. This is all they've been. Every project I've been, I'm basically every one I've been on since I came back in 2012 has been this. It's like people just have no idea what's going on and what you need to go, who the customer is, who we're supposed to be working for, and none of it. It's senior devs and the business people are in constant struggle to bend the rules one way or another. Oh, this is so bad. This is so, and it's totally normal, and people normalize as well. But people never consider dropping the whole sprint charade altogether. That's what I say. A session in adventure-driven development, it could be the whole time. You have 3 months, guys. That's the session. Get together as much as you can, because at the end of 3 months, if you're not got something that's going to be proving your point that you came in on, it's gone. It's over. That's the truth. Senior devs and the business people are constantly trying to bend the rules one way or another, but never consider dropping the whole sprint rate altogether. The most that they ever achieved was extending the sprint to 3 weeks. Oh my God. Which didn't change a thing. Why would it? Okay, in a production environment, yes. And these people, I guess it's just the message has, I'm going to repeat it. The knowledge work is not production. You will never make knowledge work into a production line. Never. It will never happen. What we're building on the production line cannot be made into a production line. You just can't do it. It's too much. It's because it's this stuff. The stuff that we're making on the production line. Now, once we get the production, the thing in software, the production line is fixed, right? We just deploy it. You send out over Google Play, or download off the web. Production is perfect. It's been perfected. We'd have no issues with that. But the business people didn't get the message. Because the results and the actions which we can see and categorize and we can speed that up are based on beliefs and experiences, right? So this is the problem, is these beliefs and experiences. You can't automate that stuff. You can't optimize it. You can't make it You can't make it faster. You can't make it. It has. It's however long it takes to have the beliefs and experiences that drive the actions, that drive the results. These things are you can't force them. It's a lot of it's luck. Sorry. That's why we roll dice. In adventure, it's adventure driven because I'm trying ADD, like Adventures, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm trying to bring that vibe in because you're rolling dice. Even if you have everything perfect, you're still it could be the wrong time. Could you forgot something? It could be just screw up. It could just be an act of God, and that's just how that's one of the risks. It makes it so it's so horrible because a lot of times these companies they got the right stuff, they got the right thing, and they don't execute, or they do the wrong time, or they push the old thing when the new thing's right in their grasp. Like Polaroid, they had the digital camera. They could have saved the whole thing. They could have redone the whole thing, but they didn't. They pushed this other stuff that was completely the chemical. They doubled down on the chemical stuff. They took the chemical processing to the absolute limit, and they lost it. So it's like all that kind of stuff is like you lose the wanting. You want to. These guys just don't want to risk anything. So they got a good thing going, and that's why they are very tentative to add something and delete something and try something new, and that's why there's always an opportunity for destroyers and creators to come along, especially when there's a stagnation or there's been a one way of doing things, and all of a sudden there's this new thing that happens, like a new enabling technology like KMP and this AI stuff where you don't have to look everything up on fucking Stack Overflow. What a mess! Like that breaks through, that stuff's like crack open. Right. Okay. So the most HE was extending the sprint to 3 weeks, which didn't change a thing. Everybody still scrambles to put the thing together right before the sprint review, and whoever manages the integration to integrate some new UI stuff feels like she or she won the round. The stakeholder outsourcing sucks big time. Oh man, that's brutal. That's all I can say is that's brutal. And this is how most software is written with this stuff, thinking that the sprint, you have to run and chase and you race. Gotta sprint. It's like, forget that. We have a time estimate. You gave us the time estimate. We're gonna produce stuff in the cadence that we can produce stuff. And if we don't make it to the end, we know we're screwed. Trying to shave a minute here, it's like, do you want to keep going? At the end of 3 months, it's like what we come up with, is it pushing it forward or not? If it's not pushing forward, well, we lose. And so all this time estimate and all this production line crap has to go. It has to go. For knowledge work, it's not compatible. And eventually, at some point, academia will catch up and understand, like, hey, you can't just be going half cocked with four paragraphs for doing your software production methodologies, and then having all this industry show up and have all these charts and graphs are handpicked and p-hacked and all that stuff to make it look like this stuff's amazing. The Agile has been an utter failure. And everyone that keeps pushing it or promoting it is promoting something that does not work for knowledge work. If you're trying to do something new, which is all software should be doing, it's not going to work. Sorry. Well, and all the stuff that's been driven this way and all that money that's been spent on it is all up for disruptions. Totally all up for grabs. Actually, they did us a good favor. They proved the segments that work. Now they can be sliced away by people like me and you who are listening, 38 minutes in, who if you listen this far, you're probably adventure driven. So it was a feature Kotlin engine. So I did a review about what's going on with KMP. And so 10 megabyte app, 1 gigabyte. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. X current intro. It's like, no, Android, KMP doesn't add anything like those freaking React Native or Flutter bullshit. It's a native app. It compiles down to the native language. If it's an iOS app, it goes compiled down from Kotlin into Objective-C. So there's no extra anything, and it's only the libraries that add the stuff to it. And if you do a Hello World app, it's not going to be any bigger than an Android app or any bigger than a regular iOS app. It's like it doesn't add a bunch of stuff. And the thing about this kind of comment here, I'm just going to say out loud, who cares? The people, the bundle doesn't matter anymore. People are going to download whatever they're going to download. And if you are meeting their expectations and you have a problem that meets their needs, then they're going to download your app. I tried a KMP app, my Fred's Road Trip Storyteller, on a cheap phone from like 2015. It worked. So, and it had the minimal thing. I found it on the ground. Someone lost it. I called the number. The chip was gone. It was just a dead phone. I charged it up. I was like, oh, see how thing down. It's like, so I don't know about this stuff. So I don't know. KMP last 500K. I don't even know where I got this number from. I've never seen anything like that. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. So I just said that down here. So the size of the apps does not matter. What the apps do and how they provide the service does matter. If you have a service that's good enough that people want to use and some kind of problem to solve, they will get whatever they need to make sure that happens. The bundle size is not the limiting factor anymore. Now, at one point in time, it was, but that was about 10 years ago. And so we have these high-speed networks everyone's on. Even third world nations are now upgrading to all this 4G minimum, 5G level stuff. So, come on. So that's you're focusing. It's called bike shedding, and you're focusing on stuff that don't matter. Don't worry about that stuff. They can worry about that stuff later. If it really becomes a problem, you need to dip down into that tiny little segment. It's like, okay, maybe you need to do something different. But KMP is not going to be for that's bloat. Okay. All right. So I think I'll add Kotlin KMP to my skill set. Looks pretty sick. I'm a .NET developer. Some of my experience in mobile apps is .NET Maui, which is a successor to Xamarin. Not sure if you've heard. No, I've heard of Xamarin, not heard of Maui, but because it's not being supported with an IDE and doesn't have Google and JetBrains behind it, Microsoft really is not gonna. I'm not gonna see. The thing is, do I with this Maui thing? Do I also get desktop? Do I also get mobile? Do I also get the web? I see you get iOS and Android, but do you do it? Whatever else comes along, do I have to do? Or have to do? What does the UI layer look like? Do I have to do a custom UI layer, or is it? Do I get to use one UI layer, one UI toolkit? Because that's like 80% of the front end is this crazy UI stuff. Oh, just redo the UI again with a completely different language and paradigm, but except you're doing exactly the same thing. It's like, come on, stop that. Compose. Let's end with the UI toolkits with Compose. Let's leave that the last one because there's what else do you really need to do unless you go to some other dimension like level thing. But Compose is good for everything that you need to use it for. So I'll stop with that stuff. So that's the big push. It's not just the view layer code that's trivial. Usually, just downloading CRUD stuff from a server where the real work is happening on a server somewhere. You're just checking it, downloading it, and looking at it. You're not really. But your phone isn't processing massive amounts of data. Come on. Okay. It's also based on KMP, cross-platform, mobile, desktop with C#. Yeah, so it's similar stuff. But the thing is, it's not going to have the support that KMP will have, and continue to have. It's possible C# with mobile, desktop, web with Blazor. Yes, yeah. I've not looked into this. I don't really want to look into it because I'm not going to go to C#. Kotlin's better. Sorry, and it's the main language for Android, and it lets you do everything you want to do. It's cleaner than C#. So, but if you jump over C# to Kotlin, it's not going to be a big jump and not be a big deal. Big deal. The Kotlin K-turns are pretty sick. Yeah, so this is the back end too. So if you're a C#, maybe the stuff will work, but you're gonna have to rely on Microsoft keeping all that stuff up to date. And JetBrains is the one that's making the ID. So and for the Android and for KMP, so they're writing all the stuff. So everything they're going to be doing is going to be as up to date as fast as possible. So I mean, and it's just KMP makes a lot way more sense. But if you can extend your skill set with C#, do it. Okay. So Android, Java. You don't need Java first. You already did C#, so you can just go straight to Kotlin. It's not that big of a leap. There's my recommendation. Big apps. Okay, the future. I mean, shouldn't rough test cell, technical, political, some interesting experiments happening in those kinds of orgs. I don't fully understand what he said, but I'll say okay. Sorry about the color choices. Another talk with Joy-Cons. I was like, okay, I'm colorblind. I don't understand what he was saying there. All the questions around the system design to read data design. All my questions around system design would be answered if I got this one book. Okay. Plus, the content is meant for interviews, not an opinion about what you have to do. You sound like an amateur. I'm like, oh, I sound like an amateur. Okay, it says, I like sounding like an amateur. I do. I like sounding like a human being. That's not been my whole life has only been computers and stacks and the latest tech, blah, blah, blah. I've actually lived other lives doing other things. So yeah, if I sound like an amateur, good. I feel like I'd rather sound like an amateur because that way I'm open to new ideas and thinking about different ways of doing stuff and not closed down thinking I have it all figured out. That way I don't think at all. Like obviously you seem to know. I checked out your channel. So yeah, I checked out his channel, Mr. Mystic. Let's just go look. Let's go look at Mr. Mystic's channel. And because he's data driven, right? Oh, no, it's not data driven at all. It's some 3D rendered stuff. Oh, okay. It's got 396. Pretty good, but nothing is real. Okay, so this looks like data driven development. Yeah, he looks like an expert. So he's got a lot of information there. And I said, sorry. So I checked out your channel. I see no programming videos. I can see you are the expert you claim to be. Good thing we have you around to show us how to do it. So I'm really, really appreciative of Mr. Mystics giving us how to create video game videos. Okay, excellent. Let's keep moving on here. I'm not convinced of the backend stuff because I'm based on Go. Yes, right. So if you have Go, that means you got to learn Go. That means you have to have Kotlin. That means you have to learn TypeScript. That means you have to learn JavaScript. That means you're gonna have to learn. Means you have to learn all the idioms, all the updates, all the upgrades, all the stuff that's no longer done that way, all the idioms. Why do you want to do that to yourself? I get it. I mean, we all want to extend. It's good to have multiple languages, right? But the thing is, when you're sharing things across teams, having one language and one set of tools makes a really big difference. It really does. It makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna like my own comment here. I never put emissions. I've never had issues with Agile Scrum or CIC, but it's all about implementing in a way that saves time, reduces errors. Are you maintaining these things? How big are the teams you're working on? What kind of things are you working on? What are you developing for? Makes developers more fun and helps the team improve any page in the registry. Yeah, I agree. That's what the marketing hype is. But do you maintain these things? Do you have to set them up? Do you have to make sure they're operating properly? I'm glad you've got success with it. Now for back-end stuff, it seems like a lot of CI/CD stuff is really meant for back-end server development type stuff. And yeah, you better set it up for that stuff for sure. But for front end, are we talking about front end? Because this is a thing when these test-driven development people come up. It's like the first time I heard about test-driven, it was like you write the test first, it breaks, and then you go do it. It's like I'm gonna write a test for a UI first. Well, first, let me see you demo that. Not one. Oh, and I've looked pretty fucking hard on how they set up a test first before you go build the UI screen. Never once. So, yes, back end, I can see it. Front end, you got to really convince me before you have product market fit that you ever wanted to even do UI tests. They should be probably manual tests until you get more customers and servers, right? That's my opinion on it. You clearly don't know how to set up or manage a proper CI/CD development. What seems you have is issues right management useful tests, and yes, front-end tests are usually not as useful as having a QA. That's the whole thing, right? And I have set up several of these CI/CD pipelines. That's why I'm bitching about them. And they do have to maintain. They have trying to fix them because there's no standard way of setting these things up. Oh yeah, it's super fun, super fun. And all the error messages that you get are all really well contained and well placed in one area. And they're really easy to access. Yeah. Yeah, this stuff is a nightmare. These systems seem to consider mobile dev. It's an afterthought for mobile, and that's what I wanted. I'm primarily trying to accept a QA stream does the happy path and the few unhappy path tests. Total nightmare. Just even get the screenshots off the damn thing. So yeah, but locally they run fine. So why are we doing it? It's usually only once before we're about to push it into the mainline production. So what are we doing again? So CI/CD is a manual approval gate before release. So you're doing a CD set. So CI, you're doing a manual approval anyway. So you're just totally destroying the whole purpose of the CD. Okay, whatever. There's always been you won't be able to exactly. You won't replace the QA. There's going to be a human in the loop. So why? We'll get the humans out of the loop. It's like, I don't know about that. You go 28 room, put it on 20%. Yeah, exactly. 20% in, not this whole huge release management, static code analysis, security checks, blah, blah, blah. I mean, every once in a while you might need to run those, but every single time, every commit, come on now, stop. I just don't think it's necessary in the beginning. Now, eventually, if you got 10,000 users, well, maybe then that makes sense, but every test, I've seen a lot of these systems that have been set up before I got involved with them. Like, what are you guys exactly testing? Are you testing Google Maps here? Are you testing how an array works? Like, what are you like? Are you testing how Kotlin does its thing? Like, what are you testing here? Like, all this stuff is like, whoa. Or testing the implement. You're testing the implementation. Like, this just does not give me any extra information about what this thing is doing. And that's been most of the stuff I've seen. And they're super proud. Their test runs takes 2 hours to run. It's like, why are you doing what is all this stuff? So I say I halfway agree with Penteron full. Like, a lot of the stuff is like cargo culted in, and honestly, a lot of it needs to be thrown away. And trying to throw away tests is like murdering kittens. Like, people just don't want to. They want to keep their kittens safe. And every one of their tests is so precious. It's like, stop. Okay, just bookmark your series. How to program out this. Love it. Blah blah blah. History is exactly. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, so talking about wanting to get into the program from ground up. Yeah, I love that course because it fills in gaps that a lot of these teachers that I would ask questions to, they had no idea what I'm talking about because they didn't have the background of coming up through and like understanding how these machines actually work from the bottom. So yeah, this is a great course for anyone that wants to, like, if you're a web dev and you really want to know what's going on underneath the hood without having to go into the deep, dark depths and the technical details. Or talking about everything. The languages, we got progress from here to here to here. It's like, I don't give a shit. Like, what does that mean? I don't even understand. So I walk you through. It's like, oh, okay, this is how we started it, and this is what. And then they changed it from here to then went to this, and then went to this. And you see the progression of why they did each one of the things based on the thing they were using before, which they were trying to deal with the problems. So there's been a series of these things going on through time that came up with this stuff that we use right now, which is still super primitive. It hasn't really changed much since the 80s. Oh man, it's so sad. So we're ready for revolution on some of this stuff. We haven't even seen the computer revolution yet. We're just in the early stages of it. I recall not being introduced to any architecture concepts until I was doing my thesis and my tutor mentioned Gang of Four book and software design patterns. Ugh, those even aren't architecture. Those are just little tricks and techniques. You don't look at it's design patterns. No, those are just some tips, and those are just some generally used things that people were using at the time. A lot of it were just super hacky. Get over the language limitations. People were passing these things around and user groups and stuff. It wasn't like a bunch of academics like analyzed it and reduced it down to like the core essence and so like architectural design. No, that wasn't that. That wasn't not at all. Oh my god, people like were so impressed by the Gang of Four design. It's like, no, this is not. These are just some ideas to play with. These aren't like people actually would go through and they put every single design pattern. They found that book into their code base and they're like, what are you doing? And because people had in absence of anything else, they would get cooked into these conferences. Go to a conference, they got a big problem. They see a software development conference, say, oh my God, I'm going to go. I've heard about this object-oriented design, software design thing. They go to the conference, everyone's hyped up on it. They get the guy up there who's been paid to go to the conference, and he's got a book and a course to sell and some certification process, week-long thing for your company to revive your software development. And they show this stuff. It's like, hey, this is all sales-driven stuff. It's so sad. It's been like this for a long time, and it's really hard because most of the people in have only been in programming for a couple years, and so they get wrapped up in this stuff, and it's just been disgusting. So it's because they don't know. It's because they don't know at these universities. They don't know how to architect stuff. So I wanted to show you here in this course how to program from the ground up. This is what you need to learn to know. Oh, not this one. That's the YouTube series. This is the document. The thing you need to learn about software design. It's right here. It's right here. Where is it? Here it is. Right here. How can we use drawings and diagrams to visually communicate about software design? Go listen to these 4 videos. My voice just cracked. I need to get some drink. Go listen to these 4 videos, and that's what you need to know about architecture. And everything else from there, you can pick up. And yeah, there's one more. Okay, so is this video universal application architecture? This will is all you need to know plus those diagrams on how to do architecture. You can at least do the conceptually how to put things together, um, and that's what you need to know about architecture. And that will give you more than any of these silly books will give you about how to set things together. This is goofy. If you go look into where these things came from and how they were put into this book, it's bad. It's just not good at all. It should not be done that way. It was in the absence of anything else. A brick is better. If you don't have anything to put fire out, and your head's on. Let's say your head's on fire. And you don't have anything to put fire out, and someone hands you a brick. Oh yeah, you're gonna hit your head with the brick. In the absence of anything better, people just grasping at whatever, right? These people made a lot of money. People made a lot of money on that stuff, and it's been deprecated. It's pretty obvious. Like people have we've gone down those paths enough to go like, okay, that's not how you do software design. Okay, by applying Gang of Four methodology. No, that's not how you do it. It's much more. It's much more human than that. Okay, there's years left to corporate. Say episode declare war and work from home. There's a lot more years to let us work. There's a lot more years left on those corporate real estate leases. There's no way this gonna left sit empty. Yeah, no shit, man. They gotta bring people back home. They gotta bring it back to the office. They gotta bring it back to the office. So then they'll lose employees. Yeah, that's yes, they have big money in those office building parking lots and lunchtime restaurant traps. This is here's to be honest, in the UK, we just go to our unions and they tell the big corporates to fuck off. And the fun fact, the UK mandated that work from home is a must unless you can do it unless you can't do it from your home. Holy, I didn't know that. But man, UK's got its own set of issues, right? Okay. So Velotorium DFA said, I am going through your videos, love your push of things. The Scrum Death Cult March brings up a couple of memories. It's terrible. It's terrible. Stuff is horrible. I can't believe people actually live like that. All right. I'll let you watch. Let's read the rest of those. I'm kind of running out of steam. It's been almost about an hour. My name is Chris Athanas. I am a ranty KMP developer who, on the surface of things, looks like a curmudgeon, but it really was like trying to get people to realize there's a new revolution happening that allows one person to really have a lot of push in tech and can escape some of these brutal systems. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Give me like and subscribe.